everybody, Adam from Atlas Gunworks. We're going to talk about the Nemesis today. Just fresh off the test fire range, this Nemesis sight block gun came back. On a side note, if you ever get a case from us in the spring and there's a little mud on there, it's mud season and it's everywhere here in Vermont. So the Nemesis is a sight block gun, 40 caliber and 9mm. It runs a 5.25 sight radius. The front of the slide is actually cut off, and then there's a block on there, so they balance. So it's designed for USPSA competition shooting. We'll go more in depth at the back end of this video, kind of talking about the physics of why we built this gun and how we got here. But the cool part about this gun is that we kind of built it by mistake, and a fair amount of our cool stuff comes out like that, but we wanted to try something. I saw a video of a gun years ago where somebody cut the whole front off, and the dust cover was part of the sight block. It came down. And we figured out that it's actually better for reciprocating, like our open guns, to have the long dust cover underneath the block. So I'll talk about the physics here coming now, and guys who want the in-depth stuff can stay tuned. But we thought we built a cool gun, and it turns out it tracks amazingly. It comes right back to zero. We probably should have called this thing the Perfect Zero, but it's the ultimate gun for USPSA limited division. Alright, so in depth with the Nemesis, we'll talk a little bit about kind of how we got the weight where we got it and why we did what we did, kind of from a technical or a physics standpoint. But if you took a Titan or a normal long dust cover gun, so basically, you know, this part here is part of the slide and there's no separation here in the long dust cover, those guns are the best limited guns with a heavy grip, right? So from a physics standpoint, we used to only have plastic grips or aluminum grips, and what would happen is the weight down here was so much less that the guns were really flippy. So the guns would flip, and it was really hard. All we're really trying to do, no matter what the game is, and it doesn't matter how high the gun lifts, like, it's not helpful to have the gun lift this high, but if it came right back to the exact same spot it left from, who cares? That's always the goal at Atlas Gunworks. The gun starts in this spot, comes back to the same spot, and stops there. So what a lot of the guns do, take plastic grip guns, they often come up a little higher than they should, they're oversprung, and they slingshot down past. So a lot of times on the target, you'll see somebody that has the first shot's an alpha and the second shot's like a low Charlie Delta. Well, that gun, they saw the sight inside the notch where it needed to be, and the gun still had to carry momentum, and moving the gun a couple millimeters here is inches, many inches on the paper, depending on the distance. So we're just trying to get the gun to return back to zero and give you the best chance there. So, kind of the best thing going in USPSA is steel grips, the right slide weight, which is usually pretty light, and then a long dust cover. And so we actually built this gun by accident because I thought they were super cool and I'd seen a picture of one. And what we realized is that by controlling this front block part, by controlling the weight on the block, we could control kind of the balance point of the gun. And the principle we started was our open guns. We just take a government slide, 5-inch slide, cut 400 off this section, we just cut it right off, and then move the comp back. We call that a mid-length gun. So the guns point a little bit better, and the slides cycle so much better with the shorter slide. And so everybody's theory was, because the 5-inch slide was what the original print was, that was the best option. And I'll tell you, based on what we know now with 40 caliber and 9mm, that the 5-inch slide is not the best slide length. It's actually something shorter than that. So the best thing to do is to play with those things, and then we get to balance. This weight is like all this is a counterweight, right? And so people get all hopped up about sight tracker guns because the front sight doesn't move. Well, the front sight doesn't move on this gun either. But the cool part about this gun is not that the front sight doesn't move. What's cool about this gun is that I can control this counterweight, and that allows me to control how the gun returns. And so we just played with this block until we had the right weight and come up with this formula. So we've got a gun that returns to perfect zero, and there's other ways to do this. There's guys who do different things with the barrel and heavy barrels and this and that, and the problem with a lot of those systems is they're unreliable. Guys are putting tungsten sleeves on barrels, and they're putting all kinds of dissimilar metals together, and it just doesn't work as cleanly And so we don't do that. And we want the guns to be reliable. Who cares if this gun's perfect if every 5,000 rounds it's got to come back here because it's got a problem? The guns have to run. Atlas won't build a gun that doesn't run, no matter how cool it is. So we're not about gimmicks or selling cool stuff. We're about guns that run. And so anyway, we played with the thing and we got it. Here it is. It works. It's amazing. I shot it all last season under a prototype gun, and it really feels. I'll shoot that same gun this year. It's not quite as nice as this one. The balance on mine wasn't the first or the last generation, I should say. But it feels like cheating. It felt like cheating last year. That's how cool it really was. And the guns return. They return back to 0. And how does that help you in a USPSA match? So if we're shooting at the center of the globe here, if the gun wants to come back to the same exact spot it left from, and I decide to leave early, that'll help me if the gun would have come back and been up here, or would have come back and been up here. The target's the widest in the middle where we shoot at it. We want the gun to come back to that spot. And if we start cheating and pulling the gun early or loosening our grip, the more the gun will do, the better. Will it make you an amazing shooter? No, but it will help your game to some degree, for sure. And they're a blast to shoot. So, this is the Nemesis in depth. There's lots of cool features. It comes in all black. This version's all black, DLC black. Or you can get the slide and the frame in gray. They get a little bit higher grade finish than our Titans. It gets a polished flats on the slide, so you kind of get this two-tone fancy look. They say Nemesis on them. You can pick any trigger you want and any magwell you want. I like to shoot them with the stainless magwells that we make. They're a little bit heavier. They soften the 40 cals up a little bit for USPSA limited. In 9, I'd probably run an aluminum. The cool part about our magwell that's on this gun is most folks on the large hands just set a bevel, and we decided to step ours. So it fits almost every hand. My hands aren't super big, and I like the large hand. And unless you have small hands, almost anyone could shoot our large hand magwell. And it adds about 4 ounces to the bottom of the gun. So there it is. USPSA, both our limited class, probably ultimate performer Nemesis. We'll see you guys on the range soon.